Welcome to the Society of Thoracic Surgeons Adult Cardiac Surgery Database monthly webinar for November the 5th. On the call with me today from the STS, we have Paul Meehan, Sydney Clinton, Banu Yatsi, Lee Ann Jones, and we have Melinda Offer. Today, our agenda, we will run through some STS updates, and then I will turn it over to Melinda. Melinda will review the latest training manual updates. Then we will have some time for Q&A. So we'll start out reviewing our timeline for November. Today, again, is November 5th, monthly webinar. Next week, on November the 13th, we will have our AQO Adult Cardiac Surgery Database Hot Topics webinar. That will run from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Time. We're really looking forward to that. We'll have extra opportunity for AQO attendees to have their questions answered. You will receive an email early next week with a link to log into that. Our quality improvement series is going to be canceled for November the 19th. We have a scheduling conflict on that date. Then November the 21st, Harvest 4 closes. That's just 2 weeks away, 2 short weeks. And then the opt-out deadline for Harvest 4 is November the 25th. Then we come to December, to our next monthly webinar on December the 3rd. I can't believe that we are already talking about December already. As I mentioned, we will be having our AQO Hot Topics webinar next week. We are so thankful for those of you who were able to join us at AQO in San Antonio. We're also very thankful for the speakers that were able to present some amazing content for our attendees, both virtually and in person. Just wanted to let you know that the virtual pass is still available if you have not purchased that yet and would like to, and would like access to the AQO content. You can still purchase the virtual pass on our website. The last day to purchase that is November 21st. Recordings of all of the sessions, live and the on-demand sessions, are available on the meeting platform until mid-December. After that, the content will move to the STS Learning Center. Attendees have access to all of the PowerPoint slides, handouts, case scenarios, and the recordings until AQO 2026 rolls around next year. This is just a reminder to complete your evaluations to claim your education credit. Make sure that you view all of the on-demand and live content if you were virtual only prior to completing your evaluations. You must complete your evaluations all at once because you can't leave and return to where you last commented. That information isn't saved. So make sure that you complete your evaluations prior to the deadline, which is Friday, December the 26th. And once again, the AQO Hot Topics webinar will be November the 13th from 10 to 2 Central Time. And you will, AQO attendees will receive a webinar link via email. All right, so again, Harvest 4 closes 2 weeks from this Friday on November the 21st. Submissions close at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the last date to opt out is November the 25th at 5 Eastern Time. Remember that the analysis for Harvest 4 covers 36 months, and the dates for that are October the 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2025. Also, just wanted to point out, if you haven't noticed already, the 2026 harvest schedule is now available on the STS website. So I just wanted to provide an update on the exceptional risk exclusion. For those of you who submitted cases with surgery dates between July 1st, 2025 and September 30th, 2025, for the exceptional risk exclusion, those cases have been reviewed. You will receive a decision via email in the coming days. Just also wanted to update you with a few reminders. So if you want to submit a case for the exceptional risk exclusion, you must submit it via the web form found on the STS website, and you must submit that request prior to surgery. After you've submitted your request, you will receive an encrypted email requesting that you send in some documentation for us to review. Just wanted to also remind you, if you are submitting a case with a specific comorbidity that you or your surgeon feels makes the case of exceptional risk, then please provide supporting documentation for that comorbidity. So for example, if you are submitting a case for a patient with liver disease, if you could be sure to please also include in that documentation packet information to support liver disease. So we would need any GI or GI consults, any diagnostic tests, scans, ultrasounds, and any lab values of importance, such as your liver panel, your comprehensive metabolic panel, INR, and then you would also want to include a MELD score in there. So just be sure that you are submitting supporting documentation for the comorbidities that are of exceptional risk. We also request that you submit your records in PDF format, and please do not add any additional encryption to your files. You will receive an encrypted email from the STS to submit your emails or submit your records. Additional encryption makes it very difficult for the surgeons to open your records. And that creates more work for you as data managers, because I'll have to send another request for records. So please submit in PDF format and do not add additional encryption. Also, be sure that you're redacting your records. The entire exceptional risk exclusion process or review process is meant to be confidential and blinded. Our surgeon reviewers don't want to be reviewing your records and find out that they're reviewing a record from such and such hospital. So we ask that you remove all patient identifiers, all hospital identifiers, and all provider identifiers from your records. Also, all records that are submitted for exceptional risk exclusion must be submitted to the database. So we want all the records, even those that are excluded. So we will be excluding the records on our end in analysis. So all of the records need to be uploaded to the IQVIA platform. And then also we ask that you please provide the record and patient IDs for these cases. That is the only way we can identify your records and exclude those that are deemed of exceptional risk. I also just wanted to point out that we do ask for the risk calculator data. We want your predicted risk of mortality. I'm sorry this is so blurry, but you get the idea. We need your predicted risk of mortality, and the surgeons also like to see the clinical summary. This second section of the risk calculator, they want to know the values that your surgeons are inputting into the risk calculator as well when they're reviewing the records. And then also, we do ask, again, for the patient ID and the record ID. If you have trouble locating your patient ID and your record ID, this is a number that is generated by your vendor software, and it can be found in the administrative section of your software. This is a number that begins with a V. It may be long or short, like is listed here. It may contain other letters, but it always begins with a V, and it can be found in your vendor software in the administrative section. It's very important for you to send that in with your documentation. All right, we're going to shift gears here for a minute and talk about data cleanup for a little bit. As I mentioned earlier, Harvest 4 closes in 2 weeks. So we want to make sure that you get your data submitted and get it cleaned up so that you can submit error-free data to the STS. We ask that you submit early and submit often. Submitting early is important. If you have things that need to be corrected in your data, you want to be sure that you're submitting that early, especially if you come across things that you need assistance from the help desk. The help desk gets fairly busy around harvest time, so you want to make sure that you're giving yourself adequate time to get things corrected. So submit early. You need to resubmit your data after you make any changes. So submitting early gives you time to make those changes. So submit early, resubmit, and submit often. Also, make sure that you are reviewing the data quality report for any critical errors and warnings. You also want to check for missing the 2% missingness for mortality and process and outcomes measures for cabbage on your on the community page in the current harvest missing and unknown percent rating table. It's very important that you check that out and make sure that you're addressing any data that's missing. Also, you will want to check your participant dashboard. You don't want any surprises when you get your reports back, so make sure that you're checking the participant dashboard for your case volumes, mortality, postoperative events, IMA usage, and any medication fallouts. Make sure all of that data that has been submitted to the STS matches up with your own records. And then also check the missing variable report for variables that may be missing, and the harvest summary report for any outstanding warnings. And I'll just go through briefly a few examples of what these documents are going to look like. So this is a screenshot of your data quality report. The data quality report is going to show you critical errors and warnings. The critical errors are going to be in red, and these are things that are going to prevent your file from being accepted into the database. In this example, from this screenshot, if you click on the red piece of the pie up here, in this example, the participant ID, there is a mismatch with that. That's something that will prevent your data from being accepted. So you will want to get this fixed as soon as possible. Then warnings are in the blue part of the pie here. Those do not prevent your data from being accepted. These are things that are out of range, or things that you may have typed in, incorrectly, data entry errors, such as with your platelet values, adding an extra zero or not having enough zeros will cause an error or a warning there. If you meant to type in 81 kilograms and you typed in 18, that will fall out here in the warning section. These are also lab values that may be out of range. So be sure that you're following up on these. If you click into the blue part of the pie, you'll get a drop-down menu and you will have access to identify which records you're receiving the warning for. So I mentioned the current harvest missing and unknown percent composite rating table. So this can be found on the community page. This is where you will get flags for any data where there is 2% missing for mortality, and then for your process measures and outcomes measures for cabbage. And so this is listed by procedure type, and it's listed by year. Then you can see in this example that there were 6 cabbage cases that were missing some mortality variables. And if you click into that red box where it says there's 9% missing, you will get a drop down and you can identify these cases where there is missing mortality data, and you can access that record and see what exactly is missing so that you can get that corrected. This is an example of the participant dashboard. Again, you want to follow up and make sure that your number of cases matches what you have at your site. Then double check your preoperative beta blocker for cabbage. If you're looking at your cabbage cases, you'll want to double check your IMA usage, and then also your postoperative events, your discharge medications, and your mortalities. Make sure all of that matches what you have in your records. Again, you don't want any surprises on your risk-adjusted reports. At that point, it's too late to make any updates. And this is an example of the missing variable report. You can filter this report by, you can look at all variables, you can look at just the risk model variables, you can look at process and outcomes measures variables, and you can also look at the variables that play into your procedure identification. I recommend, if you're looking at this, this report, that you choose a rather narrow date range. So for example, in this example, I've selected Q1 of 2025. You can select just 1 month, 2 months. You can select whatever parameters you want for your date range. And then if you click into the box where it says you have 2 of 10 missing, you will get this drop-down menu where you can access the case where the variable is missing. And then this is an example of the harvest summary report. This report is going to show you any outstanding warnings or validations that you may need to update in your data. If you are finding that you are cleaning up your data and you have questions, You can view some past webinars that are available to you if you access the STS National Database Webinar Archive. You will find past webinars that are related to the harvest process. Melinda did a really good job earlier this spring with some data manager training webinars. The training webinar from March the 20th of this year, we talked about the harvest process and data submission, and also the data quality report. And then the monthly webinar from May the 7th, we talked about how to prepare for harvest. So that is all available to you on our YouTube channel. That is all I have for updates. So at this time, let me see. I'm going to check out and see what these questions are about.
Okay, sounds good.
Before I turn it over to you, Melinda, what are the dates for AQO 2026? We have had to update the dates, and I'm not sure if that is totally set yet. We were planning to have AQO 2026 September the 24th through the 26th, but I believe it may be a week later. We will update you as soon as we know for sure those dates. And then will Hot Topics on November the 13th be recorded? Yes, that webinar will be recorded. How can you submit a patient ID if there hasn't been a surgery yet? So you can submit the patient ID and record ID after you submit your initial documentation. We just request that you get that sent in as soon as it's available. Courtney, is this submission for all sites or specific sites? Courtney, I'm not sure I understand what you mean. If you could follow up. I'm not sure I understand your question. And then Julia is asking, are aorta cases going to be analyzed in 2026? We are planning to begin analyzing those in 2026. I believe the plan is for Harvest 3. More to come on that when we know for sure. Oops. And then, is there an update on the 2025 audit results? So the audit for ACSD is in process. There have been a few sites that are complete and have their results. Those should be totally complete very soon. I believe we've had, I can't remember the exact number, but you should be receiving your audit results very soon. Will someone be able to present on the beta blocker quality project after the analysis is finished? I believe we do plan to present that data when the analysis is complete, Judy. Oops. All right, Maureen, there's no contact on the IQVIA technical support site. My submission is 70, which is correct. When I try to validate missing information, my volume is only 52. Maureen, if you could send that to the help desk.
I put the help desk email in the chat, Nancy.
Thank you, Marianne.
And don't go to IQVIA technical support. That is a different technical support. They're not even familiar with the STS project. So, unless that group emails you directly, don't go to the IQVIA email. go to the email that Leanne just added.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
So Courtney's clarifying her question. She came in, something to do with submitting cases for dates of fall for this year. That was about Harvest 4. So Harvest 4 closes November 21st, and it's surgery dates October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2025. Melissa, I believe the aorta cases being analyzed in 2026, Harvest 3. I'm not sure if we're releasing star ratings initially, but we will definitely be discussing that when we get closer to time, so that you guys are all aware of that. Maureen, look in the webinar chat box and contact the help desk for your questions about the IQVIA platform. Jean says Maureen can try to click on all procedures and then none on the participant dashboard.
That's correct. And if you would like to get that number by running the report only once, I'd recommend using the Harvest Summary Report for the same time frame. It should give you the numbers that are uploaded for a certain amount of time. But you can also use the non-analyzed dashboard, run it for a time frame for all procedures first and then none, and it should give, the sum should give you the same number as well.
And we have a change. It should be going, I think it's going out this weekend.
In a couple of weeks, yeah.
Or in the next couple of weeks, there's going to be a change where the labels on those buttons that have been confusing everybody and making me crazy. They're going to change it to, all is going to be all analyzed cases, and none is going to be changed to non-analyzed cases. So that will hopefully clear up a lot of the confusion that lots of people have been having.
And also you'll be able to click both of them at the same time,
Right.
so you can get a sum. It's not going to be a radio button anymore.
Perfect. Thank you, Paul and Banu.
Sure.
I think everyone's happy about that change.
Yeah.
The emojis say so.
Only half as happy as Banu and I.
For sure. All right, so now I will turn it over to Melinda, and she will go over some training manual updates.
So, hi everybody, this is Melinda. So first of all, I'm not really going to go over specific updates in the training. What we're going to talk about is some changes in the training manual that some of you may have already noticed, and talk about why I had to do these things. So let me just share my screen with you guys. We're trying to make this as interactive as possible. I can pick the right screen. Let's see. Does everybody see the adult cardiac surgery database?
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, so maybe I didn't do it right. I'm really good at sharing on the Teams now, but I'm not so good at sharing here, I don't think. Okay, so let's try this again. Where is the share
You
button?
got it.
You see it now?
Yeah, the cardiac database webpage.
Okay, cool. All right, great. Okay, so I'm just going to open up this version 4.2, and so the first thing I want to say is the training manual has gotten so big, so many megabytes, that Melinda has had to think of creative ways to work with this training manual so that we can use the space that we have for the upload area. So one of the first things I had to do was to take the anesthesia module training manual out of the main training manual. And you can see that it has been posted here. And the last time it was updated was July of 2025. So if I update that, it will be there and you will see that it's been updated. And the update that I put into that training manual will also be on the FAQ summary. The second thing I did, because this was kind of like a crisis, this was like a Thursday afternoon, and I sent my training manual over to be uploaded to Grace, and she's like, it's too big. I'm like, oh my God. So it's kind of like this, let's try to see what we could do really quick to get this to work within our size limits. And since then we have increased the size, but still I noticed the last training manual that I just sent to Grace 3 or 4 days ago was just as big, if not growing. And we have like another year or more in this training manual before the new upgrade comes out. So I'm trying to be creative. So the second thing I had to do was take the beta blocker supplemental training manual out. So it's out of the main training manual. You can see that it's here if you need it, and it's labeled as retired July the 1st, 2025. Okay, so let's actually, so here's the main training manual. So I'm going to show you some of the things that I have done already. I hope you like them. And then I'll talk about some of the things that I'm going to continue to work on to maintain the size limit of this document. So can you see the training manual now, or do I need to reshare?
I see it. We see it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the first thing I kind of did, and this is in the training manual that just came out, so November. So we had a ton of duplicate information in the training manual throughout the whole thing, just the same statement here, there, everywhere. And so what I'm trying to do is put those statements all in one place. So they're not here, they're not there, they're not everywhere. So I started with these main categories. So like sequence 2120 OpCab. So it used to have a bunch of stuff under it. And what I did is I took all that stuff and I put it in a general information for coronary artery bypass. So you click on that, you have this general information, everything that used to be there, plus used to be somewhere else, is now in this one spot, and you can kind of just scroll down and read it, okay? So moving back to the next section, I pretty much did this for all of these main topics, but I didn't get to all of them. I don't want it to search that way. This is a massive document. I'm sure you guys know this. Because if you're in it like I am every day, you know how massive this document is. So the same thing for aorta. You've got a place. So I took all the stuff that was under sequence 2123, these little additional notes, and I put them all in one place. And I went through this and I did for valve. I kind of want to show you the valve one because it's kind of interesting. So for the valve, click on this information, then you'll see information for multiple valves. Okay, so this is stuff that applies to all the valves, right? You scroll down a little further and you've got just stuff that applies to the aortic valve. And then a little further down, you have the mitral valve, and then the tricuspid. And the reason the pulmonic valve is not here is that we don't really have any just specific notes for that. And if we did add one, I would of course add that category here. And even under sequence 3395, see, I've got valve information. It'll take you right back up. And it's the same. So I'm trying to link you to places where all the information is and get rid of all this duplicate information to save space for the training manual. I guess all you guys know these bookmarks are here. I hope so. I work really hard on these bookmarks every month, and I use them all the time. So I hope you guys are using them. And you can see I just like click on these little dots here with the lines, and it'll bring up the bookmarks, and you can kind of go through it. But the reason I'm doing this is to get to where I want, because this thing is so massive that sometimes you have to get closer to what you're really searching for, and it works better. So I did the same thing for mechanical assist devices. They have a link. Now, I have not done other cardiac procedure except AFib yet. That is going to take me a little longer to do because it's kind of a massive undertaking. Hopefully I will get to that next month. So just expect that it will be coming sometime. I'm just going to continue to work on this. I did get to congenital. So I've got the congenital here. And, you know, just one thing while I've got your ears, your attention, the congenital coding in our database is basically used for, you know, procedures that we don't have in our database already a field for. So if you've got a field already, such as an aortic valve replacement or pulmonic valve replacement, there's no need to go in and code the congenital codes too, because if you do that, you're going to probably remove your case from isolation, especially in AVR. So be mindful of that. Use your congenital codes in our database when there's really no other place to put what you're doing. So I just wanted to mention that because I've gotten some questions recently on that. I haven't worked on other non-cardiac other yet. That's another massive one, but I'm going to work on that. So you'll see that it's still got all this information under here and no link yet. But I've got most of the other like main sections done. The other thing that I did is I bookmarked all of these too, the ones that I got done. So you can see the bookmarks. If you go down the side here, you can see that there's a general information valve surgery, right? You can click right on it and it will take you right there. Okay. And it's pretty much the same thing for here's aorta right there. So I've pretty much got the bookmarks in here to help you guys find this stuff easier. There's the valve surgery. If coronary bypass, if you click on that, it takes you first, it starts with the general information. So you can just kind of go in there and see that. If you go to the mechanical assist bookmark, it will take you first to the general information. It's like the main heading, so it's there. So that's one thing I've done in addition to removing the anesthesia training module, training manual, and the retired beta blocker training manual. Now, another thing that I'm working on, and I've done it in one section so far, sort of, kind of, is, let me just kind of show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to, once I get the headings completed, like the other cardiac, other, and the other non-cardiac, I'm going to start working on places that have leg grid information. And I'll give you an idea. So when you get to this coronary grid under the cabbage section, I think we have 10 of these, right? And they all say the same thing. And so what I'm going to plan to do is the first one, like cabbage 1, all the ones, as we go through, all the ones will have the bulk of the information. So this is where you'll have your pictures, any FAQs, any updates, anything like that, right? But when you get down, and so this will go through all through one, you're going to have your pictures, you're going to have your diagrams, you have everything you need. But when you get to two, and I haven't completely done that, I've removed pictures. As you can see there's no pictures here. So the first thing I did was I started removing pictures because that takes a lot of space. And if you want your diagrams, it's going to be in that grid 1. Okay. I've kept the language, but the minimal language, right? And I still need to work through this some more to try to decrease the size of this monster. But you kind of get, I'm assuming you're kind of getting the idea of what I'm trying to do here. Another place that this would be like, place I want to target at some point is the aorta devices. Good Lord. So I think there's 15 of those, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so kind of the same thing I'm going to do with that is because we have 15 of these once you get down to them. So try to like, don't have all, like have the information under one, the ones, and then the 2s, 3s, 4s, all the way up to 15 will be condensed information with probably a bookmark that'll say, hey, go back to number 1, and with a little link. So this is going to be kind of a long process. I wanted to talk to you about this in a webinar because that way when you see things changing like this, you'll be like, oh, what is she doing? Well, at least now I'm trying to, let you know what's going to happen and why I'm having to do it. The important thing is I'm not removing any information. It's just I'm removing duplicates of the same information to work within the size limits that we have. So I will continue to keep doing this slowly as we go through the next probably year before that upgrade happens, before it actually starts. So I just kind of wanted to give you guys a heads up as to why this is being done and sort of the things that I'm doing about it. If you guys have any ideas that you think would be really helpful to help me with this, yeah, just drop me a line, send me an email, and I appreciate your patience with this. Now, does anyone have any questions? It looks like we might have some. Okay. Will the PROC ID chart be updated with aortic info before they are analyzed? Yes, Ella, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. First, we got to get those risk models, though. Okay. Did the technical specifications go away? Okay, so Nancy, I want you, she's talking about the software specs, and we've had a lot of questions about that. And I think you could address that, but there may be some parts of that document which we need to make available because data managers use those parts readily.
Yeah, so the software specifications have been taken off of the website. That was a decision by STS leadership. What
You can just send your questions to
Yeah.
help desk. I'll be happy to answer any of those questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's mainly like they're looking for, and I have a list. I got a list, an Excel list of all the sequence numbers and short names and throughout the versions. A lot of people are looking for that for queries and stuff, and mainly stuff like that, Paul. So if you get it, yeah, that's kind of the questions I've been getting. But I'm happy to send that to you guys if you need it, or if you know that there was something in there that you absolutely want to or need for a query or some research that you're doing at your site, then let us know and we'll be happy to help you.
I was going to ask you what you had been seeing, so that
Yeah, that's probably the biggest one. And so what I did is I just made a little Excel spreadsheet of that so I can send out to people so they can see the sequence numbers and short names over the years. So,
all right. Melinda, you're getting a lot of praise for your work on the training manual.
well, okay, I see Gold is talking about Control F. Let me tell you about Control F. Okay, I love Control F. And for those of you who don't know what it is, you just hit Control F and then you can type in what you want. So if I wanted to go to sequence, you know, oh, let me get something close to this because this is the problem with Control F when your manual becomes too big. It takes it forever to find what you want. But if you get close to it, so like if I do this, this is kind of close to it, right? Sort of. It takes me there fairly quickly, see? So I know my sequence number. But like if I'm all the way in sequence 6810 and I want to go to 365, I've typed it. Oh my gosh, it's actually working fast. Most of the time it doesn't. It'll like take forever to get to if you're trying to go somewhere really far away from where you're at. So I've been doing a workaround. So if I know I want to go, like say I'm in the order section and I want to go to the risk factor section, I'll hit my bookmark first and then I'll do my Control F and type in the number of the risk factor I want to go to. That's kind of been my workaround because I've noticed that since this thing is so big, it will search it for you, but it's taking longer and longer the bigger it gets. Judy, Judy's always so kind to me.
Melinda needs a raise. Then Sandra in the chat said she's thankful for your rich data dictionary, and she's sending examples to NCDR so that they can enhance theirs. I
Thank
thought
you.
would
Thank
like
you.
that.
I would love that. So speaking of that, Jean wants to talk about the November TAVR. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Let's talk about it. Okay, so see, I also bookmark the updates too, right? So I'm assuming this is it. Is that it, Jean? Show me a finger, a happy face or something. I'm at the right place. Okay, thanks, Jean. All right, so let's talk about this clarification and the reason I put it in here. Okay, so first of all, the reason I put it in here is because we need to be able to decide what is an open valve procedure and what is a transcatheter valve procedure, okay? Because a lot of sites enter their TAVRs into our database and a lot don't. And so the first thing when you're reading an op note that looks strange, it's not really a TAVR, you know, there's something else going on here. Is this really a transcatheter procedure or is this an open procedure? So I actually reached out to the NCDR and they got back to me, which was very kind of them. So, and just to clarify, you know, hey, what do you put in your, you know, what's your definition of a transcatheter procedure? And basically, they told me that if the transcatheter valve is placed using direct aortic or mitral valve visualization, and now that would probably include tricuspids because we're doing those now too, that it's considered an open surgical valve procedure, regardless of whether you've got a sheath delivery or not. If that surgeon is looking right at that valve when they're putting it in, that's an open procedure. So that procedure wouldn't even go into TAVR. It would go into our database. So if you're reading an op note and we're seeing this, Molly and I presented this at AQO, they've got this hybrid procedure now where they're using the TAVR sheath, they're using the TAVR valve, but they're looking directly, they've got you open and they're looking directly at that valve and they're looking at it when they're placing it. That is an open procedure and that goes into our database. So that is why I put this in here so that people can understand the differences between what's really transcatheter and what's open, because we're starting to see procedures that it's kind of hard to tell if you don't understand directly how it's defined. So that's why I put that in there. I hope that helps, Jean. Okay. So, Cyrus, you might shorten the documents by 10 pages plus if you can shorten the dash line. You know what? That sounds like a great idea, Cyrus. Thank you very much. I hate those dash lines. And so I think that's a fabulous idea. Amy, make a ordinance on document. Well, you know what? That's not a bad idea. It's pretty big. But I'm going to try first some of these other ones and let's see how much work we can get done with that. The outline on the left doesn't show up for everyone. I guess, are you talking about the bookmarks, Hannah?
I think
Like
she's
over
talking
here?
about the content or the bookmarks. Yeah.
So I wonder why that is.
I wonder if it's just hidden.
I don't know. Because see, you got these two things here you can push. See these two things here, Hannah? One is that and one is this. But I wonder why you can't get. Are you opening? I wonder how. Hannah, it would be interesting to know what kind of view you're in, what kind of, what do you call this? Internet browser you're in. Just, I'm wondering why it's not showing up. And anybody on this call has any idea, please let us know what you might think it is if you're more technically oriented than I am. Because I don't know why it wouldn't show up. But Hannah, I'd appreciate anything you can provide that would help us figure that out. Jen. Thanks, Jen. Control F is also my friend. So minimizing duplicates is appreciated. Okay. Cyrus says I'm a hero. Well, Cyrus, I'm going to tell you, I was forced into doing this. I was a crazed woman when it first happened. Let me tell you. Here I was thinking I was going to take Friday off, and then my training manual wouldn't be uploaded because it was too big. Okay. Let's see. FYI, we use all the previous versions definitions for research going back. FYI. If you're doing research, I think this is what you're asking, Tina. If you're doing research and you're looking at stuff from version 2.73, then you're going to want to use the 2.73 definitions because that's how it was defined then. And I hope that answers your question. Can that spreadsheet sequence number short names be uploaded to the ST, even though they're maybe Nancy
Yeah.
maybe we'll have to talk about that.
I'll take that back and see what we can do for getting that information onto the website. I've already made a note about it.
Perfect. Thank you. It's moving around. Let's see.
Sorry, I did that.
Jody says, I use the bookmark to get to the section and then use the control up. Yeah, that's what I'm finding helps best now because it's so long. Lori, regarding data entry, is there a way to make the drop-down list of valves devices searchable? It's very long, time consuming. I don't know about that. It's probably, I don't know.
I think
that's vendor dependent.
Yeah,
I was going to say, that's what I was thinking. I think it's vendor dependent.
Yeah, talk to your vendor to see what they can do to help you with that.
Yeah, I was going to say that also.
Yeah, it should, like the way we set up the descriptions of the valves and the VADs is we start with the format of the model number. So the idea would be if they do the I forget what they call it, forward typing or something like that. As you start typing, it filters down to what fits what you're typing. So, I mean, the idea is that it gives the vendor then the ability that if you type in the model number, it should pop up with the right answer for you. And a model number is a whole lot easier to work with than those descriptions. So,
Yeah.
you know, you might talk to them about that. If they're not doing that already, they might be able to make that update for you.
That has been my experience with previous software vendors as well.
Mhm.
Diane, if convert from TAVR to SAVR, NCDR has not to put this into it. You know, I'm not sure that's correct, Diane, because I abstract TAVRs and boarded TAVRs. Once you enter that room to start that TAVR, it has to be put in. So you might want to check for with NCDR just to be for sure on that, but that's my understanding, and I do TAVRs every month. So the bookmark is on the right when opening Adobe. So maybe it has to do with Adobe, Hannah. Maybe it has to do with Adobe, opening an Adobe. Because Hannah says it doesn't show up if it opens into a PDF. So maybe that is it. Although it's funny because I save this as a PDF, but I save it as a PDF in Adobe. It's the only way you can make bookmarks and stuff in this document is to do it in Adobe. So maybe that has to do with it. Okay. Deb says it might be the browser. Hannah's PDF view may look different depending on the version of Acrobat she has. Okay. Jackie says, I can see the bookmarks now, but I had no idea they were there. Oh, well, I hope you like them, Jackie. Hopefully it'll help you. Let's see. It's moving so fast.
Sorry, Melinda.
It's okay. Cyrus again says it could be browser. Judy says, I wonder if you need Adobe to make them show up. I don't know. See, I have Adobe, so I've never even thought about that.
Rebecca says there's a bookmark flag on the right that opens the bookmarks.
Okay. So that might be it. It might look different, maybe, than what my screen is because I've got mine open in Adobe. Barb says you may need to save a copy to your desktop to have that option. If you're viewing the PDF in Chrome, on the right-hand side, there's a little button shaped like a bookmark. Thanks, Emily. Let's see. For PDF, Judy says, the menu on the, it moved. The menu on the side has a page with a little ribbon on it. That is the bookmark. Well, we're getting all kinds of great information here today. Thank you, guys. And Hannah's back. Here's Hannah. If you log into STS via Chrome and open the manual, it opens in Adobe. If you open from Edge, it opens like you have. Well, there you go. Thanks, Hannah. So it has to do with your browser, too. All right, let's see what Carly's saying. Here we go. Hello, I just wanted to validate if a patient has a cardiac arrest and goes on ECMO 11/1 and then has surgery 11/4 because it was greater than 24 hours, that this is no longer salvage or resuscitation. Yes, that is correct, Carly. Yeah, we had an update to those intents in September, and we did a webinar. So if anybody missed that, they may want to watch it. It would be on the webinar page. It was our September webinar. Okay. Well, Melanie wants to know what was said about the audits earlier.
Audits are in process. Some have wrapped up. You should get results, preliminary results soon.
I think that's it. I don't think we have any more questions.
think you are right.
Yay.
All right.
Well,
Looks like we're only 3 minutes over. That's excellent. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. We appreciate you. We look forward to our next monthly webinar next month on December 3rd. And for those AQO attendees, we look forward to Hot Topics next week on the 13th.
all right. Thanks, everybody. Happy
Thank you.
harvest time. Happy harvest time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.